Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wait What We Talking About podcast, episode 208. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, or Moose can let you know. So you join in on the fun and conversation with us. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, wherever you're watching or listening to this, if you drop a follow, subscription, whatever it is, it may seem small, but it does help the channel grow. So if you take the time to do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Today, a wrestling-filled episode of the virtual variety and the real-life variety. As we're going to be talking about doing a little review for WWE2K24, and by little, I mean we're going to dive into each of the modes, at least what I've jumped into since launch, and then we're going to be talking about Wrestlemania 40 coming up. I think we're a little less than a month away, so we'll talk about the how it's looking so far, how it's planned out, and how wrong we were maybe a month ago in predicting this. Or post Rumble? Yeah, maybe 2 months. Oh boy. Time flies. Well, let's jump into our first topic. Let's talk about WWE2K24 and see how it compares to 23. So yes, as of last week, as of recording, 2K24 dropped. We had the people who had the fortunate experience of playing it early with Deluxe Edition, and then the regular launch came Friday. Yeah, so it's been open to the public for everybody to join in, and for the most part, I'd say this game is a solid build on what 2K and Visual Concept has done over the years. It seems like, they kind of hit the reset button, which they definitely needed to after that whole 2K20 debacle. Took the break with 2K21, came back with 22. 22 hit the ground running, and it's just been kind of this building block or layers of the cake on top of this in terms of adding things, smoothing other things out, but overall keeping the same basis of gameplay, not shaking or rather changing anything dramatically, and sticking with what got them there and what has gone over well. And I think 2K24 really shows that. There's a lot of polish on this game in certain areas in terms of the gameplay. Like I said, it's relatively the same. They do add a few new match types. I believe we got 4 this year: special guest referee, ambulance, casket match, and then gauntlet match, all making the returns from the series in general, but glad to see them back in playing each of them. They're pretty fun. I haven't delved into the new backstage area, which I know they kind of messed around with. There's a second story now with the elevator you can mess around with. That seems pretty goofy from a viewing perspective, but fun that they added those in there. Obviously last year adding war games was the big addition, so adding 4 this year, obviously a big step in the right direction in terms of like more options for players. So let's talk about the overall gameplay just in terms of the wrestling stuff to start off. I wouldn't say, like I mentioned earlier, there's nothing too different that I've noticed and compared to 2K23, 2K22. You're going to get the same basic gameplay here. I do think they messed or worked on the timing of reversals a little bit. That seemed to be a whole kind of learning curve getting back into it. It didn't feel like the same timing as 2023, so I'll mention, or 2K23, so I'll just shine a light on that for a moment. There's some small tweaks to gameplay. Like I said, it's just building blocks from what they had. So now you can throw weapons is one thing that you can do. Dives can hit multiple opponents outside of the ring, which is nice. They do now have a like trading blows type mini game to kind of simulate more of the real life aspect of the boo yay punches and that momentum swing or battle that they have, which you could trigger once per match. I'm trying to think of anything else. They've added a bunch of super finishers, so if you wanted to go all out, I think it prevents your opponent from kicking out at the first count, and then they only get the 2 and 3. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it does add a little bit more damage to them if you decide to dish those out. Yeah, in terms of the gameplay itself, that's it. Some fun tweaks that they made as well. The referees, now we have real life referees in there, and with the special guest referee, you can either use a WWE superstar, you can use custom superstars, and create your own referees as well. So that's a fun thing that you can do with that. And like I said, just a cool addition to see the real life referees in there. I think they have 6 to 8. I'm not sure. So fun to see them. You still have the generic referees if you want to just throw them in there for whatever reason, but just helps the presentation aspect to have the, the faces you see every week or every pay-per-view, whatever it is, in there. Just helps that kind of, what's the term? I guess immersion. Speaking of that, they also now have 3 of the ring announcers. So Mike Rome's been in there, I think for the past 2 years, but they have now added Samantha Irvin and Alicia Taylor from NXT and Raw. Well, flip those, Raw, NXT respectively. So cool. Just like, it's a small thing, just for the presentation standpoint. It's nice to hear different voices in there and different presentations, as they all 3 have their own style with their announcing. So just adds that little bit of spice and variety to it to keep it engaging, keep it interesting, instead of just rinse repeat, same thing over and over again. Like I said, small, but really goes a long way in terms of, I feel, showing love and care in these titles. You're still not going to get any super great lip syncing on their parts. Not obviously anything on the announcers' parts, but the animators decided to put, obviously the extra time into something else. So, for example, with the Royal Rumbles, you're still going to get a lot of panning back shots of the announcers as they're going over the rules. I think something smart that they did and wise was for the new match types, like your gauntlet, your ambulance, and your casket, where they have the rules up there for the match type. They bring it up like a graphic, like WWE would sometimes, of explaining how it is. For example, just most recently, I would think of like NXT Deadline with the Iron Survivor match. Like, they brought up that graphic with the bullet points of how that match works. I think they could probably do that to at least present it a little bit better for a Royal Rumble if you're not going to take the time to lip sync it. It just seems very weird where we get a lot of panning shots of their back and just see them emoting a little bit. I think just throwing on the rules display, I think that helps if you're not going to put in that effort there. Like, it hides it, I guess, better, because we're not going to see it. So just a small thing, not anything really that big. In terms of the new match types, like I said, they're all right. I did one gauntlet. There's a few different gauntlets. There's the normal, there's turmoil, there's one other one. I don't know how different they will feel from each other. I think there's one where you keep stamina a little bit more in between the matches instead of recovering it as much. Other than that, I don't know too much a difference between the 3 or 4 styles that they do have, but that's just pretty much keep wrestling, match, back to back. Try and be the last person there. And then ambulance and casket are pretty much identical. It's just a different coat of paint on it. Casket trying to get your opponent in the casket, ambulance trying to throw your opponent in the ambulance. They both lead to mashing games. The ambulance does lead to 2, just for 1 per door. The casket is 1 shot, you're done. So you better be ready for that. There is alternative methods to playing it if you don't feel comfortable doing the button mashing or don't have the ability to. They do have a different setting in the controls, so you do have that option, similar to the pins, to change it. So that's nice. But in terms of just what you need to do in the gameplay, they are pretty much the same exact thing. It's just put your opponent in X box and then, try and battle your opponent with the mashing concept. And then special guest referee. I have done a few of these. So playing as the referee, you obviously count the pins, you do check on submissions, you can warn people if they're outside, do a count out, you can fix certain things that may get obstructed, like a turnbuckle or a weapon getting thrown in. You can do those things. You can play this however you want. Obviously, if you want to be the good referee following it by the book, you can do those things, or you can get into shenanigans yourself. If you decide to be a dirty ref, and kind of cheat or do things that aren't kosher, good, whatever word you want to use for it. If you have the setting on, you can get ejected, so that is something you have to worry about. There's a little bar at the top left, I believe, of how you're refereeing. There's some achievements and trophies tied to this as well. There's one to do like the Montreal screw job and have the person submit before they even tapped. Fast count is on there. I believe there's one to ref right down the middle of the line, or fairly, which that one might be bugged. I don't know if you have to just like 100% perfect, because I had one match where I was calling it fair but didn't get it. So there's a few tied into that. But yeah, nothing too special there. So you can just have fun with that, especially if you have a group of friends, somebody's being the referee, just messing around with people. It could be a fun time. So base game mode, like I said, overall same, just adding on to it. So it's fun, it's exciting. Just more of the same, not in a bad way, but good. So let's jump into the different modes. So I've jumped and played most of these. I haven't gotten a chance to jump into the My Rise. I am very intrigued to jump and try into it. I'm going to stop saying jump to play it this year. You have two different campaigns similar to 2K23. I believe it's Unleashed and Undisputed, one from a male perspective, one from a female perspective. The female perspective being from working from the indies into the main stage, and then the men's, I believe they throw you in on the main roster and you run into some shenanigans there and you're trying to prove yourself that you belong. So I haven't jumped into it just yet. I did finish a create a character this past weekend, but unfortunately didn't have the time to play it. But looking forward to it, especially not having any experience with 2K23s. I just never got around to playing it. It didn't seem that intriguing to me, the whole creator wrestler thing. I'm not great with the creation suite. So that's, I'd say I was into it more when I was younger, but now it's kind of hit or miss. Not that it's bad. The creation suite's definitely improved over time, and seeing what the community creation side of things does, like they do phenomenal work over there, and there's a lot of talented people who upload, current superstars, AEW wrestlers, TNA wrestlers, a lot of different people who obviously are in the game. It's incredible what people can do. It's just never been something I dive head on into and really tackle and try and be meticulous with. So last year's mode didn't really speak to me of like, oh, I want to try it out. But seeing the trailer from this year's and the stories that they're trying to set up, I'm like, okay, that's actually seems really interesting, especially from the male perspectives, what they're doing with the Roman Reigns type stuff. I don't want to spoil anything if you haven't played it, but if you watch the trailer, you know what I'm talking about. That's just like, oh, that's a nice little way to twist this and have a compelling story behind it, instead of just like how it was in years past of, okay, work your way up through the system and you're gonna fight X superstar 6 times and you might be in a rivalry with them, but you might not be, and you're just here kind of grinding away. Is like, okay, this is not fun at all. It kind of seems to be calling back to SmackDown versus Raw days. Obviously those you would play, I believe, no, some of them you could play with a custom superstar. I feel like some of them or others you would play as a wrestler. But this seems interesting, and to know that some of the superstars are voice acted and you have that interaction with them, that's just another cool layer of immersion. I think Shotzi is a big part of the female perspective along with Becky. The men's, Roman is definitely there. I'm trying to think of who else they might have shown. It's been a little while, so I don't know, but excited to try that out. Hopefully it's one of those things where the story beats, are good and enticing, but what's the in-between moment-to-moment gameplay feel like? Is it going to be, like I just talked about, a slog of 6 weeks? I'm fighting this guy just trying to get to the next cutscene or engaging piece of action or cutscenes that you're trying to show me, or the story you're trying to build. similar to, and I know a lot of people love universe mode. That's my experience with universe mode. I know you can get really creative with universe mode if you decide to do the just show builder type aspect. But if you do the superstar mode, which I've tried this year and last year, this year's better. I feel like there's more rivalry type things that happen, like one per match, while last year's kind of felt like hit or miss. It still doesn't have as compelling or engaging of a story to keep my interest going. If people like it, hey, more power to you. That's totally fine. So hopefully with the My Rise, they have that as well, where it can keep you going along, keep you on the hook, and bring you through that story instead of feeling like a chore to do. Speaking of story mode, let's talk about Showcase. I don't have too many notes on this one, but this will be the first mode that I did actually try. We'll talk about. So Showcase, jumped into it a little bit, played probably, played both WrestleMania 3s, played Rude and Warrior, probably 4 or 5 matches in. And if you played a Showcase before, you've played this one. It's identical in terms of just, here are some challenges, go do those challenges, you'll progress the match, you'll see the little, cuts in between real life footage and your gameplay, and you unlock fun stuff, from legends to attires to arenas. That's pretty much what it is. The first night I did play it, I was playing legendary difficulty just for fun, and boy, do they go for you in legendary difficulty, at least on Showcase. Exhibition, it's kind of, at least what I feel, is a little bit more back and forth, and it's just the fun chaos element of it. Macho Man was whooping my ass in WrestleMania 3 from legend difficulty, so when I went back to normal, yeah, it felt more like my typical what I'm used to experience. And yeah, it's nothing new. I do enjoy Corey breaking down the matches beforehand, and it is fun just walking down memory lane. I'm curious if it will be more interesting doing matches that maybe not haven't done before, because definitely there's some more recent ones with WrestleMania 39 with like Rhea and Charlotte. Maybe that will be more interesting or intriguing. But having some of these matches obviously being in 2K14 10 years ago when we were doing the 30 years of WrestleMania, it's just like, yeah, I know that's where one works out. So nothing really stands out there in terms of like, oh, exciting, amazing. It's just, it is what it is. I'm intrigued to see what other matches there are. I think there's 21 matches in total. So curious to see how or what we get in there. I'm not sure if all the unlockables, I don't think they were like shown in the roster page on the exhibition. If they were, then it is what it is. But play through it, nothing too fancy there. Next mode we're going to talk about is My Faction. All right, this is probably going to be the lowest point of the review. I will say My Faction does bring some things to the table that make it a little bit more engaging. This is a mode that we talked about with last year, and I think even the previous year, of like, this is a mode that can be fun, but is definitely a task to get and unlock things. And 2K24 starts off on a good note of like changes they made to My Faction, and then there's the creepy underbelly of My Faction that really shows its true colors. But let's talk about the positive first, and then we'll rip this a new one. So with My Faction, we do have 4 game modes. So you have Faction Wars, Weekly Towers, Proving Grounds, and Online. All these modes are returning from the previous years. Faction Wars is a rework of the old Faction Wars. So Faction Wars in 2K23, it was your 4 superstar lineup against computer 4 superstar lineup, and you would go through a series of matches there to get your cards, unlocks, whatever it was. Here they have changed it to a roguelike where you pick 4 superstars to bring on in your journey, and then you have a web of options ahead of you, from different match types to random buffs to resources that you can use, and you are trying to work your way towards a boss fight. Depending on obviously the match types that you run into, you can pick one superstar, two, maybe you're battling with all four, doing the 4v4 again. You get to the boss fight, these cards are typically a little bit, or these people are typically a little bit harder, but the thing with the boss battles is if you beat them, they then become available to you in the Faction Wars store. So throughout each fight or match that you're going through, you'll acquire, I don't remember the exact name, it's like Faction War currency, right? And then you can use that to buy those superstars. There's permanent unlock cards, or not permanent, there's like permanent ones in the store you can buy. There's rotating ones, and then there's these boss ones where if you beat them in the match, you then have the ability to acquire them for your next runs. I think this is a great change. We talked about it with last year's review with the 4v4. It's cool because you get to see, oh, I'm using all these different characters on my team. But as those of you guys who know, who have played tag team matches against the CPU, they come in and break up every pinfall that you try. So now put 3 opposing people on the corner and make it that much harder. You know, you could cheese it. I know you can run the corner, try and bash them all off the corner, get them into a stun state, and then go for the pin. It's just such a hassle and just so much more of a pain than it needs to be that makes it not fun. I think this change, very exciting and welcome. It's a way more fun mode than I think it was before. Weekly towers and proving grounds are going to stay exactly the same from last year. Weekly towers every week that the game is out, they will add a new tower. I believe they start with 5. 5 different matches, can be of various different gameplay styles, from one-on-one matches to specialty matches, 2-on-2, fatal 4-way, whatever it may be. 5 matches, you beat all 5, you get a certain reward. My faction points, a card, a pack, whatever it is. Same as it was last year. And Proving Grounds is the same thing. Different chapters. In each chapter there are 5 matches, I believe, and you're trying to get stars, I guess you could say. So each match has a difficulty level 1, 2, 3. If you do the hardest, you get 3 stars. You get the lowest, you do 1 star. And you want to try and get as many stars to unlock the next chapter in the Proving Ground. Each Proving Ground also has 3 challenges. 25 opponents submitted. 10 opponents with a red torso. You know, things that are obtainable. You get cosmetics, other resources that you can unlock. But you have to like replay, because there's only 5 matches. How am I supposed to pin or submit 25 people? You're going to have to play the match again. So the idea is you would play it on the hardest difficulty to help you unlock further things down the line. But then you could just run through it on normal. That's where it gets a little grindy. That's where it kind of lost me in previous years. Like, I'm just doing this. And not that you have to, because it's just the cosmetic stuff. But in terms of the grand scheme of things of getting resources and whatnot, you want to try and unlock as much as you can, or do the matches over and over again to build up the in-game currency, the My Faction points, to get packs, etc., etc., etc. So that was why the mode was a little bit, because like the amount of work you had to put in to get out of it anything that felt like rewarding, it was a lot. I don't know if you get to the later stages, if it gets easier because you're earning more per match or objective that you're completing. I don't know. And that'll probably come up again, but at least in the early stages, it felt like this is such a steep hill to climb to even think or fathom getting something down the line that's way more expensive. Oof, just a little bit rough. So 2K24's builds on some stuff. Like I said, the Faction Wars is a welcome addition in terms of a change of game mode. The one thing with Faction Wars is you will need a ticket per run that you can jump into. So if you don't have those tickets, you can't play that game mode. That's a little bit of a frowny face. However, those tickets seem to be easy to obtain, whether it's in the Faction Wars itself or from daily logins, just like, oh, here's a ticket you can use. So we'll see how that goes. Maybe over time it will be a little bit more frustrating. At least the first weekend, it doesn't seem too bad. Especially if you have a good run, that ticket can take you far. Obviously, if you're struggling with it or you suffer a lot of losses, then yeah, it's going to feel like I'm burning through my tickets. I believe went through twice or have 2 playthroughs. The first attempt, I got through 1 match, and then I got to Umaga, and Umaga decimated me. And I'm not sure if this was because it was tutorial or whatever, but that felt like a waste. My second time playing, I've gone through an entire line, got through a boss, and now I'm on my second, I guess, chapter, web, whatever you want to call it. And I haven't felt like it's been super difficult yet. There's been a few, back and forth type fights. I'm not saying it's a cakewalk, but it didn't feel like I've been bulldozed. Simone Bulldozer. It hasn't felt like it's been that bad in comparison to that first one. So we'll have to see. Another cool thing that they did add here that a lot of people were, giving them flack for at 2K. Obviously, Faction Wars is their microtransaction market. They want you to pay money to get these cards, to get stuff. In previous years, those cards, even if there were alternate attires, you couldn't play that person anywhere else, even if they had different entrance animations, which, thanks to the community deep diving into these things and data mining we saw, you couldn't use them anywhere. That is a big change that they've added this year. Not every card is going to be, something you bring into exhibition, because most of them are just their wrestling personas. We don't have a lot of alternate costumes just yet. But they do now have persona cards. And if you acquire a persona card, you can now use that character, I'm pretty sure, everywhere else. Definitely exhibition. Let me see if I can find something to clarify that. But to my knowledge, you could use them in Universe. You could use them in Exhibition. You could use them in GM. Like I said, I'm going to look that up to double check. But at least there's something there for... what am I trying to think of? Not initiative. Incentive. Haha! Incentive to play my faction, because you're getting something out of it that you can use everywhere. Now, I get it. I get why people may not be super hung up on this if you're going to mirror it to an NBA 2K. NBA 2K is my team, same basic gameplay. This is where they decided to pull this in from. You're not unlocking a Ruby card for Kobe with like super stats from, I don't know, Team USA. I'm making all this up. And you're not playing him in exhibition mode. So I can get why people wouldn't be hung up. But at least the wrestling fans, from what I saw, were like, well, there's all different attires in there. Like, we want that. So for them to go in and make it available, that's cool. So yeah, to my knowledge, you can use these outside of... Well, you definitely can. I'm thinking it's all across all mods. Let's see. Sorry, scanning real quick. Okay, SmackDown Hotel's not helping me in this regard. But speaking of the Persona cards, at least right now with release, there are 6 of them. So one you're going to get for free right off the bat. It is Sheamus from 2009. This includes his old song, his old Trons, and obviously his old attire. So you get Sheamus 09, Elite Cody Rhodes as part of the first DLC, Elite John Cena as a code, Elite Hulk Hogan, so you got 3 action figures there. There's Seth Rollins from 2014 in his Shield days, and Trick Williams from 2022, which honestly I don't know what's different all that much about Trick, but okie dokie. So all of them can be unlocked right now except for Hulk Hogan. He is coming down the line, I guess. Seth and Trick. How do you unlock these? Well, seems like it's going to be a bit of a grind, unfortunately. So like I said, Sheamus, they kind of handed it to us. That's going to be unlocked in your first pack that they give you, your starter pack. But Seth and Trick, you have to unlock 5 oddity pieces, which you get in packs for the oddity packs. But you're essentially like acquiring clothing that they've worn. And once you get the 5, then you unlock that card. Like I said, with a lot of this, it's going to be touch and go, or see how it plays out. How difficult is it going to be to unlock these characters? Is it even worth it? And with it only being the 6 right now, obviously it's launch. I assume as they go with DLC, as the product goes down the line and they unveil more packs for us to buy, I'm sure there's going to be other personas. I believe Finn Balor Demon is heavily rumored to be one. Well, it's going to be interesting. How easy are these people attainable, and is it worth it when I don't have to shell out, an exorbitant amount of money that I've already paid on, the base game to go on top of it. And I'm not bashing anybody who, if you love this game, you get your fun out of it and you're enjoying it and you want to support the teams and pay for packs, that's totally fine. Do your thing. I just don't know if I want to reach that level. I know I do that for some other games, for sure. We'll have to see. It's one of those things where they got to earn my support past, obviously, that entry point. So, Persona cards. Cool. We'll see how often they make them and then how easily they are acquired. Okay, so let's one more positive. Contracts are gone. So in previous years, you got your superstars, you got your cards, and they had a finite amount of matches that you could use them before they were unusable. And then similar to NBA, if you wanted to use them on the court, you would use a contract card, and then you could bring them back in. It was the same thing with your wrestlers. Contract cards are now gone. You do not have them anymore. You can just use your superstars as much as you want. Except when you unlock a free agent card. There's free agent cards out there. I believe there is a Roman Reigns card that is a locker code that's out there. And I believe there's a Dakota Kai that I saw, which you can only use for 3 matches. They're not part of the collection status, so I don't know why they are there to unlock. I don't know if this is just to help give you an upper hand for a little bit, with them being the Sapphire rarity. That's a little frustrating that they couldn't just pull the trigger on which way they wanted to go. But I guess the contracts aren't wasting space in your draw pulls when you open packs, so at least there's that. Speaking of packs, let's start talking the negatives, shall we? All right, we were talking about the big bucks. We were talking about this being their, microtransaction mode. A way for them to keep making money, keep the development going, all that stuff. 2K23, when it launched, the basic pack for your Superstar Series 1, I believe it was, a basic pack cost 2,900 My Faction points. So in-game currency, you can earn that. Also costs an X amount of VC. I honestly don't know. I didn't write it down. 2K24. The first basic pack from their Legend series, and I believe the Heat Wave, whatever the 2 packs are. 9,900. Yes, that is a 7,000 My Faction point difference between the 2. Yikers. Also, in this year, they are on a timer. So in previous years, the packs would release and they would be there. You would have your basic pack, your deluxe pack, which was slightly different odds of certain cards showing up. You would have a booster pack of 20 of the basic packs and a booster pack of 20 of the deluxe packs. You had those 4 options. You could buy any of them, obviously various price ranges, to add to your collection. Here, they have the same 4 packs, basic, deluxe, 20 pack, but they are now timed. I believe as of recording, the Heat Wave or whatever the hell the second pack is, I believe it has 10 days left. So this marketplace is going to be cycling, it seems. Now, I'm going to be a little optimistic here. Does that mean that 9,900 is the base going rate? And as these packs cycle through, that is going to be the lowest price we're going to, well, of course, I would hope that's going to be the lowest price we paid. Like, is that price going to stay consistent? Because they're not always there. Is that going to be your entry point? I don't know, because if we go back to 2K23, every time they added a pack or a set, collection, whatever you want to call it, they would get gradually more expensive. So I talked about the first basic pack being 2,900 in 2K23. I just loaded up the game prior to recording for 2K23, seeing what the very last series was. It's Neon Horizons 2, I believe. The basic pack was 29,800. So almost 10,000 more than your first one. Now, as I alluded to earlier, as we're freaking out, don't worry, I'm freaking out internally as well. I would hope that means as the more you play this game, those resources become easier to gain, whether it's per match, whatever it is. Obviously, you can even see as you jump into the game mode, like, oh, if I'm to win or if I really grind and get to these farther objectives, there's some of them where you're getting thousands and thousands of the My Faction points for one challenge. Granted, you got to work to that point, but I'm curious because I haven't played that long through it and stuck it out. Is it that way where the longer you're here, the more we reward you? Or is it the same level of grind and difficulty? It just seems like a rough start now. Does that path get smoother? I'd be intrigued to talk to people who are really into My Faction mode to see what their opinions and takes are, or rather their experiences are with this mode. But that's something I can't speak upon. It's just looking from it outside in, it's like, holy shit, that's a lot, you know? So we'll have to see. Also with 2K24, to be another negative, the token market. So there was a token market in the past iterations as well. It was a different currency. They look like little shields. You can get this mainly in the proving grounds, some of the challenges as well. And this was like a series of 20 emerald cards you can unlock, 20 sapphire, 20 ruby, 20 diamond, pink diamond, opal, something like that, whatever the rankings are. And in that market, in 2K23, across those 20 cards, I'm not sure how inexpensive the emeralds were just because I happened to complete that collection. I want to say there were 3 apiece, but at least rubies. So your third set of cards for each of the 20, so per card, it was 6 of these tokens, okay? 2K24. Your token market, your series is now 10 cards, so you cut it in half. Each card for an emerald is 25 tokens. I don't know how that math adds up, but that's really disappointing. So that's another thing of like, what are we doing here? The scaling of it. So it just really seems like a big deterrent of like, oh, there was a moment of hope here. Oh, this is gross. Now, those tokens you can't buy from my knowledge. I don't know if you get those in packs. I don't believe you do. But this was just another opportunity for you to get cards. They also do now have a new edition of a card market. This is where you can use virtual currency. You can use your My Faction points and just pick a certain card that you want. So if you are looking for a gold Bailey card, you can go in there, find it, grab it. Similar to NBA, I know they did auctions, and I think they also have a card market where you could kind of like fine-tune your search details. I don't think you could search anything and everything, but they have like a big list of what is available to you in this token market. So you don't have to try the gamble of the packs. You can just be like, I really like playing as Bailey, as Montez Ford, as whoever. I want their card. Bing, bang, boom, grab it. So a little bit of a win there. I want to like My Faction. I really, really do. Because my team was a blast in NBA, jumping through with the more custom teams and managing that aspect. I want to give it a try. It's just hard to when you see the steep or what seems like a steep hill ahead of you of like, if I'm going to get anywhere, this is going to be a journey. Like I said, it seems like they've listened to some feedback with the Persona cards and unlocking stuff. Maybe this is just another mode that, you know, gradually they'll try and take fan feedback and adjust. But I also understand this is seemingly where they make money. So if it's working, they probably aren't going to change it. So we'll see. It's one of those things. We'll keep an eye on it. Maybe it's one of those things we'll revisit when we're like, hey, hopes for 2K25. we'll revisit. We'll be like, you know what, we did stick it out, and it did get easier. And the Persona cards were great. It's one of those time will tell situations and scenarios. So ultimate thing is, if you're having fun with it, great. If that's your mode, great. If not, hopefully there's something out here or something else here that sings to you and really connects with you. Which, perfect segue, leads into the last thing we're going to talk about, but my GM mode. If you guys have been watching the channel for a while, listen to me rant about these games, or have joined the streams, you know my GM is my bread and butter. This is where I put most of the time in for the past couple games. I believe 2K23 clocked total maybe 150, so probably 100 more of that is probably just my GM alone, whether playing on my own, whether playing with Papa Griff or friends or stuff like that. This is the mode that I just really enjoy. Since they brought it back in 22, obviously it's been a little bit of a slow start getting back to what we know and love from the SmackDown versus Raw 06s through 08. But I love most of the changes here that they've made with my GM. There's a few that, once again, it's going to be one of those things, give it time, see how it resonates towards the end, but let's dive into it. So, big things here. They did add 4 new GMs. Ted DiBiase, I don't know if he was ever a GM. Teddy Long, Paul Heyman, and William Regal making his return. 1 new show, ECW. Awesome. Little change, or rather interesting note for ECWs, there's no women's title, because they never had any. I'm not sure if that adds any stats to you, if like the men's championships add more popularity compared to the SmackDown championships to try and make up ground there. I haven't looked too finely at those details, but I'd be curious to see what is like the incentive to pick an ECW in comparison to the other brands. Obviously less titles, a little bit less management for your roster of like, I need to have a tag division for both sides, I need to have this. Not that you needed to, but maybe that just makes it easier to manage. I'm not sure what the incentive is, but cool to see all of those additions in there. I wish Nick Aldis was able to make it this year. Obviously you can do the custom superstar if you really wanted to, which I definitely did last year, but sad to see him not make it in here as well. Show wise, I think we're pretty full up on our shows, because we still have Raw, SmackDown, WCW, ECW. We have NXT current NXT, and then we have NXT 2.0. I guess getting NXT UK back in there would be nice, but they did drop that last year. Yeah, for 2.0, and with UK kind of being RIP, you know, dead. I don't know if they ever will. But I'd be curious to see if they add more shows going forward. GMs, yeah, there's definitely some they could add there. Like we mentioned, Aldis, and you could get Ava Rain in there now. Oh, sorry, just Ava, the Rock's daughter. You get her in there. You get HBK in there too, or Triple H. So yeah. Anyways, cool to see them in there. We got some cool cards. I didn't write them down, but let's see if SmackDown Hotel, shout out to the SmackDown Hotel, definitely, you know, keeps everything up to date with news dropping, rosters, all that jazz. So go check out their site, give them the click when you have a chance. Let's see if they have written down what the cards are so I can tell you there. All right, so slight changes to past cards. But for our new characters, Paul Heyman, all promos are free and have the results doubled. Ted DiBiase, all matches are free to book this week, and he can use it twice. Teddy Long, remove all match bonuses and quality boosts, plus set match experience gain to very low for all opposing brands on next week's show. And William Regal, select an opposing brand, all superstars on their roster lose 5 popularity at the start of next week. So some interesting cards for our new GMs, and for the most part, our returning GMs do have the same ones. I believe Cactus Jack has the same. It might have been reduced to 2 opponents, or 2 superstars instead of 3. Bischoff is the same. Breeze, recover stamina, I believe was lowered by 5. Cheat code is still available for Woods. McMahon still the same. And Sonya and Pierce, theirs have now gone to 2 times use,
with Sonya getting the big change of power cards are free in the store and grant 2 copies when purchased this week. So that one's huge in my opinion. I believe she had a morale boost previously in the other games. So I think she's the biggest change from our returning GMs. But cool to see those. Like I said, cool to see also some of them that you can use multiple times, especially, ones that benefit you in the promo section. There's certain cards that are huge. I think our new GMs got some great ones with Teddy Long affecting the experience gain for other brands, and then the one that's been a pain in my ass, especially playing GM mode, Regal doing the power of the punch and lowering the popularity of superstars sucks. Especially early on. It's like, I'm trying to get some momentum here. Can you not get in my way, Regal? But cool to see them. So let's jump into the changes as well as we jump into the game. So still do your custom rosters. You can do a little bit of a higher budget if you want to for your draft. There are numerous different draft orders that you can do and gameplay orders. So they return with the, just normal way. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, keep going through that. They have a serpentine, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, etc. There's a snake. No, serpentine's a snake order. There's a round robin. There is one where the person in the lead goes last, I believe, and then there might be one more. So if you want to tinker around with those options, you're more than welcome to. Shakeups are still there. Awesome. Draft, if you want to customize your roster, you can still do an AEW roster, ECW roster, especially with the DLC coming out. WCW roster, just like I do, bring the NXT guys into the local talent area. Whatever you want to do, you can mix it up. And then match unlocks. Match unlocks are a new thing you can do. So this is kind of like your default now is the match unlocks. You can toggle it so everything's unlocked. You literally have the freedom to play this how you want to play this. But what the match unlock system is you can only use, I believe, 5 matches to start. And same thing with your match types. They all have a variety of quality gain and stamina use and XP gain, which is also a new concept we'll talk about in a moment here. They all have those 3 aspects to them. But as you're going through your GM mode, your season, you'll get your logistics. So you improve your stage, you improve your lighting, your effects, your road crew, whatever it is. As you do that, you can unlock different matches based on the tier that you're acquiring per each 4 of the logistics. Falls Count Anywhere, Steel Cage, your typical matches with the new match types, Ambulance, Casket, not Gauntlet. I think Special Guest Referee is in there as well. All your standard match types that we're used to in GM mode, along with those new 3, you can unlock based on this tiered system of logistics. So something just adds another element to it of things you're working towards. Obviously, with the past ones, it was, the logistics were the big changes of like how you could stand out based on your competitors. Do I have a bigger arena than them? Am I bringing in more fans with these special effects or boosting the show quality, whatever it might be? And you still do that in this one. It's just the matches can now add a little bit of an extra depth and layer to this challenge for you. Now, speaking of logistics, in the past, you bought arena every week. No longer with this. Now it is a one-time purchase. You unlock assets per each week. Assets are your resource. I almost said research. Resource to unlock these things, along with a financial investment to unlock a tier. So I believe for 50,000 is the tier 2 for everything else. So 50,000 plus 2 assets, I unlock tier 2. That is now unlocked permanently. I do not have to pay for that every week. It's just there. It's going to autofill and allow me to keep building upon my show quality. So that's a welcome change. Why is it so welcome? Because everything is so much more damn expensive this year. Even just looking at the base rosters, some of the superstars are going for, now granted this could be me playing on the I want the most money in the draft. Some superstars are going for $300K for the whole year already. Sometimes in follow-up seasons, once you got to season 2, 3, 4, yeah, you'd see that because they're superstars you put a lot of work into with popularity and whatnot. They were going to go for a higher asking rate. Season 1, they're already off the bat with that. So things are more expensive. 1, the superstars are more expensive off the draft. 2, you can now negotiate contract length with new superstars. Fantastic addition. So that's somewhere you can manage your money a little bit better. Blah, 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 blah. If you want to sign somebody for 10 weeks, you can toggle that. You want to sign them for 2 weeks, you can go from there. Do whatever you want. Spend your money wisely. Power cards, I didn't notice anything too different with costs there, so I think those stay the same. There are some new ones in there which are welcome additions. Some affect the drafting for your opponents if they're looking for new superstars outside of the draft through your regular season. Some affect their power cards even being available. Some affect contract length for their newly contracted superstars. Some new cards in there that are nice and welcome additions. Another expense for you and another change is going to be talent scouts. So they changed how the free roster market works. You no longer have 3 tabs on your roster page: manage roster, free agents, and sign legends. No more. It's now 2. It's manage roster and talent scouts. Talent scouts, you automatically get 5, I believe, every week, and you can use this to search certain parameters for your superstars. Their level, which we'll talk about soon, their gender, their role, their class, and there's one other thing. Promo skill. You can search all 5 of those criteria, any combination that you want, depending on how much or how specific you get with things. That will cost you a certain number of talent scouts, and B, a certain amount of money. So if you want to look for a established star, I believe is what they call them. So person ranking from like level 5 to 10, you're going to cost 10,000 just to search, and it's going to cost you 2 talent scouts. On top of that, if you get any more specific, talent scouts are going to go up. Your cost is going to go up. This is going to give you 4 superstars that they found, depending on your search criteria. Automatically already start with 4 for free. These are typically going to be, your lowest of the lows. They're going to have no experience, nothing really going for them. If you don't change your roster, these are like your enhancement talent, the creative superstars that 2K has put in there. You can substitute this with your customized roster. For example, me adding NXT talent that didn't make it to the roster. Those are the faces I'm going to see. So you start with the 4. If you do a talent scout, it adds another 4 based on your search parameters. You can keep doing this and searching as long as you have the money and you have the talent scouts. However, I only noticed this once, but it's not going to add a fresh 4 new faces every time. I believe when I did a second round of talent scouting, it only added 2. So that's something you got to be careful of. But that's a resource you can use. The talent scouts are free each week. It's just the searching part. So if you have the money, might not be a bad idea to look around as a smaller investment, but there's that. The jury's out if I like this or not. With last year's, you had 20 to 25 superstars in the free agent pool that would cycle through, right? And then your legends, I believe, was also another 20 to 25. Now with that all being jammed together, and with you having limited choices of the 4 off the bat, and then let's say 8 if you did a talent scout, it can be a little bit of a grind to get people you want on your roster. Like if you're like, oh, sweet, CM Punk just came out to the DLC, and for some reason you didn't get him in the draft, or he wasn't available in the draft, and he pops up here. You have to know what you're looking for, and then even if you search all of his specific stuff, there's no guarantee he's going to be in there. So it could be a little bit of a grind to get that. At least with the 20 to 25 superstars, yes, it was still random. Yes, there was no guarantee that Punk or whoever was going to be in that roster pool, but it was a bigger chance. Like, there's going to be 25 faces in there. A decent chunk of them are going to be new. It's not just coming down to the 4 that I search in a certain criteria. So jury's out if this will work or not, I definitely like it because if you need a certain superstar, you're going to get them in terms of class, gender, whatever it is, because you can search those criterias. There are some times week to week where you're looking at the free agents, you're like, I'm going to have to waste a week changing you from face to heel because I need a heel giant right now, not a face one. And you're just wasting that time instead of building. So we'll see how it pans out down the road. Speaking of roles, another change that they added is we'll go with the experience actually. They added experience. So they kind of had this in previous years, but they made this way more clear and present to a player of what is actually going on with your characters. You can level up essentially your superstars as they participate in matches, promos, whatever it is. They are going to earn a certain amount of experience to be a better superstar, be a better wrestler, gain more popularity, be better at promos, whatever it is. And depending on their level, I believe 25 is the max, I could be wrong, they will unlock different perks. So at 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25, they unlock different perks. I've only seen a few of these so far. Some, like the superstar has less chance to get injured. The superstar will gain +1 popularity per match they're involved in. Less stamina is used. And then I think at 15, everybody has the same one, where they unlock a subclass. So, for example, Rhea Ripley starts off as a bruiser. If you get her to 15 and you're like, you know what, I want to change your subclass, she can also be a fighter. Not at the same time, but you swap her to a fighter. It's a simple promo similar to face good guy change. You do that, now she has more opponents available to her. They claim that, obviously the matchup types, bruiser, fighter, cruiser, giant, specialist with anybody, that's still going to be your best option to get match bonuses. They claim it's not as important this time, yet I still get yelled at for bruiser versus bruiser. It's like, what are we doing here? So if you run into that situation where you're like, I want to have Rhea and Bianca fight each other, they're both bruisers, well, let me swap Rhea, now they're perfect matchup there, and we're going to get bonus from that. You have that ability to do so. And everybody has that to my knowledge. So I believe Seth starts off as a specialist. Seth Rollins, he can change to a cruiserweight if I'm not mistaken. So that's just a fun aspect of it if you choose to play with the classes, obviously in your customization. I know Xavier Woods wanted this in the most recent Battle of the Brands. Make everybody specialist. It doesn't matter the classes. You just have anybody fight anybody. If you're playing with the roles, at least this is something you could play around with to try and get those bonuses. So I talked about the experience gain. Something else about the experience gain. I apologize, but we alluded to it with the drafts. That experience gain stays from season to season, from draft to undraft to free agent to going back to the free agent market. For example, I had Ora Mensa from NXT. I downloaded a custom superstar. He started off as a 0. He was with my brand going against LA Knight for a little while, got up to a level 3, decided not to re-sign his contract. He goes back into the free agent market. He is still that level 3. Anything that was unlocked, any perks that are chosen card-wise, they all are locked in place. They stay. If SmackDown picks up Oro Mensa, they pick him right back up where he is. So that's cool that with the draft rolling around, you can look at these things like, oh, where are they in terms of level? How close are they in terms of level? What stats do they have? What cards do they have? Maybe I draft on Natalya next year because she's been really built up on Monday Night Raw or whatever show she was on previously. You can factor these in. Granted, that will, probably make them a little bit more expensive here or there, but it's cool to see that stays and it's not just a reset after the draft. It seemed like last year, everything was important. Everybody remained the same or where they were in terms of popularity with the draft, and then free agency would roll around the next week, and there's Dakota Kai. She was my tag team champion for 6 months and was crushing it, and the only reason I didn't bring her on was because I had 3 other superstars at 100 popularity. Now she's at a 70 again in popularity. What happened? it seems like they're keeping all their stats. So that's cool that it's not, they just dropped off the face of the earth and nobody cared about them anymore. So that's neat. Really excited to dive more into the mode, with this being my favorite mode out there. Excited to see what other changes they have made. It seems like they have more interactions with your superstars in terms of the emails. You can navigate and pick which emails you want to talk and solve first. There's the same situations of like, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm really famous on the internet. Can I work for your company for free and bring my fans? There's still that. There's still the trainer to boost stamina. I'm sure the movie deal one is still there. I'm interested to see what other conversations are in there. I've seen one where it's like, hey, I want to take 2 weeks off. Can I have some personal time? Hey, I had a wardrobe malfunction. I think I can't make the show today. And you can respond with 3 different responses. I'm excited to see what other stuff is out there with that. And the last thing, which I'm surprised I just remembered, but trades are now back in. Now, it's not as open and free as SmackDown versus Raw trades. You have the ability to trade 5 superstars and then a cash value between brands. I believe you get, if you have 4 shows, you can do a trade with each of them. You can't do like a back and forth situation with them. It's like once they deny it, you can't keep pestering them, something like that. So cool, you can do that. However, you can only do the trades after pay-per-views, after premium live events. I've had some interesting ones come my way in my experience. I had Tiffany Stratton get traded over to me, who was a permanent draft signee for the year. And I think they wanted 2 of my contracted wrestlers, like for a short-term basis. I don't recall. So that was interesting. They'll have some weird ones too, where like they want to trade my world champion for 2 of their guys, and then like $6,000. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you on right now? So some of the CPU trades is a little weird, but it's a fun, welcome addition to the mode. Like I said, they just keep adding to it, especially since implementing it 2 years ago. So fun to see. I'm excited to jump into it more, see what other changes have been made, see if it's more enticing moving from season to season, as it's still a focus of like get in the Hall of Fame and get the trophies. Hopefully it's more intriguing, enticing to keep going from that way through the 10 seasons, or rather 4 if you're going to run a perfect run and you get your 10 Hall of Fame trophies right away. Hopefully that's fun in comparison. And then last but not least, let's talk about DLC. I think we're eating well this year with DLC. They did a fantastic job with this season pass. A lot of fun superstars to play as. It's just unfortunately the timing, not the best, but it is what it is. So with the launch, they did have the Nightmare Family pack. They also had the 40 Years of Wrestlemania pack. So with the Nightmare Family, if you pre-ordered, you get 5 superstars. You get Cody Rhodes Elite action figure, Undashing Cody Rhodes, Stardust, Dusty Rhodes, and Superstar Billy Graham. 40 Years of Wrestlemania pack. The release date is the summer apparently, but you get 5 alternate attires based on WrestleMania attires for superstars. So Charlotte Flair from WrestleMania 33, Macho King Randy Savage from WrestleMania 6, Rey Mysterio from WrestleMania 22, Rhea Ripley from WrestleMania 36, and Triple H from WrestleMania 30, which I'm sure, those guys will be available separately if you didn't get the WrestleMania thingy. But yeah. Deluxe Edition gets debuting Bianca and Rhea Ripley from 2017. Awesome. And then we get into the Season Pass stuff. So Pack 1 coming out in May, so about 2 months. We got the ECW pack. We got the Dudleys, Bubba Ray, and Devon. We got Sandman, we got Terry Funk, and we got CM Punk. So obviously get the big one out of the way, or, close to you. That's great with the closeness there. Still obviously 2 months. But there's some other faces I'd like to see sooner, which we'll talk about in a moment here. DLC 2, Post Malone and Friends. Yep, I said that right. Comes out in June. We got Headbanger Mosh, Headbanger Thrasher. Interesting. Honky Tonk Man, Jimmy Hart, Sensational Sherry, and then Post Malone himself. Intriguing. So probably my least favorite pack, but it is what it is. Pat McAfee pack is next with DLC 3 coming out in July, so we get Pat McAfee as DLC. That's cool. It also says plus playable co-hosts. More information to be announced. No idea what that means. I don't care about McAfee's co-hosts on his show, so if it's them, then this might be my least favorite. I mean, McAfee's a welcome addition, but we'll see. All right, probably the favorite pack for me personally, it's just unfortunate we got to wait till September, is the Global Superstars pack. We have Carlito, Dragon Lee, Jade Cargill, Kairi Sane, Lyra Valkyria, Michelle McCool, and Nia Jax. So, a lot of great people there. Obviously, most of them newer to the company. It's unfortunate, like Lyra couldn't make it to the main roster as well as Dragon Lee. The rest makes sense. Well, Michelle's a legend, but it makes sense in terms of not being in the launch roster, but probably all 7 of these superstars I'm definitely stoked for to play as, or throw in my GM. So good stuff there. And then the last pack coming out in November is the WCW pack. We got DDP, Lex Luger, Mr. Perfect, the Iron Sheik, and Hall of Famer the Great Muta is being in there too, so that's cool. All will have their own My Faction cards similar to past years, but yeah, great season pass. Like I said, just a little sad that the current people are so far away with September, but it is what it is. The DLC will be great. Visual Concepts does great with their entrances and really making them feel special, so it is what it is. But yeah, overall 2K24, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's one of those things where there's so much good with it. It's hard to get too hung up and be like, oh, this is awful. The My Faction thing, it ultimately comes down to time. Is it going to be this Mount Everest to climb to make this a fun or rewarding mode? Or is it actually a good change that they made and the ball will get rolling, the momentum will be there? How hard is it going to be to unlock these Persona cards? Did you make it rewarding for players without having to be quote-unquote pay to win type situation? Time will tell. As for the rest of it, like I said, it's just building blocks on top of it. I'd say for me, selfishly, my GM mode seems to got a lot of tweaks and adjustments to it that makes it intriguing to jump back into and try all these new things and nooks and crannies and see what's changed and what hasn't. And then, yeah, like I said, maybe getting in there, getting into the thick of it in the weeds, it'll be like, yeah, I really preferred the last year. But for now, it's nice to see that some care and love was put into it, and it wasn't just copy paste, just put it in there to put it in there type thing. Yeah, stoked to jump back into more. Like, I'm excited to play it now that we've been talking about it for almost an hour. Yikes. But yeah, I'm enjoying 2K24. I hope you guys are too. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of the game, what you want improved, what you like, what you didn't like, all that stuff. And don't worry, we'll be talking more about 2K24 in the coming months. So let's move over to topic 2. Let's talk about Wrestlemania. So man, you guys remember that that match card we predicted? Yeah, that was big gross. We definitely did not nail that in any retrospect. So just wanted to quickly touch upon WrestleMania 40. We're about a month away as of recording. So we've gotten more, obviously, insight on what's going on legitimately, and what stories they're going to tell. So I wanted to jump into that. I'm going to quickly load up the video of my match predictions. Oh, I didn't put a image. Never mind. I was going to be like, oh, I can look up the footage to see, but I didn't capture the 2K footage for you guys to look at. So I don't know what it was, but I definitely botched it. So there was some on there, just unfortunate timing. CM Punk stuff, he's not in there. You know, Charlotte's injured as well. I don't think we put her anywhere. Shotzi's hurt. You know, there's been a few injuries here or there. But going into WrestleMania 40, we got a bunch of people pulling double duty, as we have Cody and Seth Rollins taking on The Rock and Roman Reigns. seemingly night 1, to figure out rules for main event night 2 of Cody and Roman. So double duty, double main event for 2 of them. God damn. You got Seth and Drew going for the world title. Great. We have Bayley and Io Sky going for the WWE Women's Championship. Great. We got Rhea and Becky going for the WWE Women's World Champion. Drop the WWE from that, but also great. And then other than that, we don't have anything hard set planned. Gunther is going to be defending his title. Monday Night Raw. I'm going to be deciding that with the gauntlet match. I think favorites for me are going to be Chad Gable, as we kind of tried to predict, or Sami Zayn. Either of those matches are going to be great, and then them getting over Gunther and tackling that mountain. That'll be a huge, moment of victory for them and as the baby faces. So there's that. We're kind of a little bit building Uso versus Uso. We'll have to see if that fully comes to fruition, or if it's just going to be tag team match, Bloodline wins, then it's Bloodline rules at Mania Night 2, and then Jay gets in there to try and help Cody along with Seth, along with maybe Sammy, try and fend off the Bloodline before Rock maybe turns on Roman. We'll have to see. There's potential for LWO versus Legado del Fantasma. I don't know if you do Escobar, Humberto, and Garza, you don't know if you do those 3, and I know I did first and the last name there. I apologize. Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, and Escobar. I'm not sure if you do them with Elektra Lopez against Zelina, Rey, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde. If you do that 4-4, do you get Dragon Lee involved? Do you get Carlito involved? Do you get Bad Bunny involved? There's a lot of mixture in there. Obviously, the bad guy team doesn't have as many players on their side in comparison to the good guys. But it seems like that's going to be a multi-man instead of just Rey versus Santos. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Rumors of Awesome Truth going against Judgment Day, which I think we might have predicted. I'm kind of... I don't know how I feel about that one. Truth is very entertaining. Clearly. I don't know if that will be the most exciting match for me. I think New Catch Republic did a fantastic job at Elimination Chamber against Judgment Day. So I kind of want to see more of that kind of match, whether it was New Catch again, whether it was a DIY, a New Day even in there. Hell, throw Pretty Deadly in there to get tossed around. Granted, if they're not Mania hosts. I don't know. They did a promo a few weeks ago. A vignette. So yeah. Stoked for Mania for sure. Obviously this whole Bloodline Cody thing has been kind of taking center stage. Obviously with it being main event, seemingly, of both Night 1 and definitely Night 2. It kind of leaves a lot of other programs in the dust a little bit. Granted, there is a big story here with Cody and the Bloodline, so it makes sense. But I kind of feel really bad. In particular, I feel bad for Bayley and Io. I don't feel like they've gotten the momentum, or rather the story build, in comparison to other stories. Rhea and Becky feels like it's there a little bit more. Becky currently feuding with a few other superstars, and not Rhea is a little weird. But granted, there's still a few weeks to Mania, so we can build there. But Bayley and Io have had story on SmackDown. I just don't know if it's caught fire in comparison to the others. Bayley's playing this underdog, going against a lot of Damage Control with Dakota Kai turning on her, showing her true colors, sad face. And yeah, as the Royal Rumble winner, I feel like she should have the bigger story here, and she doesn't. So hopefully we can get something good for Bayley here. Hopefully those two ladies can, kind of be the, what is the term? Not dark horse. Maybe it is dark horse. Be the, outshine something. Really stand out there. Obviously, the scale, once again, of the Bloodline stuff, I don't know if they're going to surpass that, but it'd be at least something of wow, those two were really good, you know. Probably should have done more of that. I don't know what Bayley's going to do here. Hopefully she brings back the Bayley buddies. I don't know if Paramore for Mania is going to happen. Mercedes still hasn't debuted in AEW, but it doesn't seem likely that she'll be around, so I don't know what she's going to do in terms of friendships. But yeah. On the other side of the ladies, like I said, Rhea and Becky, I'm sure it'll be a great match. It's just this weird thing with Becky still feuding against other people and Rhea just being there since Nia in Elimination Chamber and the Homecoming there. Tiffany's getting some good momentum. I don't know who she's going to face, if it's going to be her and Bianca. What the women's tag situations is, if Kabuki Warriors are defending it at Mania. Do they go against a Cargill and Naomi? Do they go against a Cargill and Bianca? Not sure. I assume they want to get Cargill in there, as she's kind of teased backstage with Kabuki doing a little stare downs here and there. It's just like, where's your tag team partner if that's the route you're going? Nobody's stood out just yet. Yeah, I don't know. I'm intrigued for Mania. I'm excited for Mania. That's the most important thing. It's just a matter of filling in the pieces here. I think we talked about with the predictions video, what was it, 7 matches per? I don't know if I can block out 7 matches right now. Let's try our best. So we got WWE Women's World, World Heavyweight, the tag match of Bloodline, the Universal Undisputed Championship. So there's 5. You got seemingly the tag. You have Gunther. So there's one night. There's 7 matches right there. Okay. Hypothetically, we do Uso versus Uso. We do Legato and LWO. We do women's tag. All right, there's 3. I guess Orton and Logan Paul seem to be doing things right now. Maybe that's a multi-man. Maybe do Owens in there. I don't know if you just do a triple threat. Somebody else in there. I haven't seen anybody else making waves just yet. So there's half of another night. Like, what else are we fitting in here that I might be missing? I guess if you do Tiffany and Bianca, that's a 5. Or a 5th, rather. And could they just do less matches and give them more time? There's always that potential, too. I mean, Triple H seemingly has done that since he's been in charge with the 5-match structure per PLE. Give them more time to breathe. Kind of like an NXT thing, you know? We'll have to see. It's Mania, though, so I don't know if it's like, hey, let's get everybody on the Mania card. Try and get that payday. Yeah. Very short and sweet topic, I guess. I'm looking forward to Mania. I wish some stories had better builds. Bloodline's kind of taken over. Short and sweet. Let me know what you're looking forward to in Mania as well. We got a month. What other fun twists and turns are we going to go on in this journey? Is The Rock going to keep putting up the L for loser for Roman? Are we going to get more diarrhea Dwayne chants and all that stuff? God, that was stupid. Anyways, yeah. Well, I guess WrestleMania weekend, we can talk about NXT too. Stand and Deliver, Tony D. And Ilya. Interesting. Carmella and Trick's probably going to be the big one out of there. Main event, or like the biggest story they got going there. Lyra and Tatum? Maybe? No, Lyra and Roxanne again. Roxanne's doing this whole heel shtick, which I don't particularly agree with. Wolf Dogs in the OC, it seems to be the build there. I guess Ridge Holland and Ty Dillinger / Sean Spears. Maybe. Obafemi's North American. Who's he gonna crush? Who knows? I don't. This has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma9011. You can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011. You can drop a follow over there. You'll get notified when we go live, so you join on the fun and chaos and conversation. But if you can't catch it live, that's a-okay. Go over to YouTube and podcast services. The very next week, as it's broken out topic by topic, and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, like, share, subscriptions, reviews, whatever it is. It may seem small, but it could may seem small, but if you take the time to do that, it does help the channel grow. So if you do that, we would love and appreciate you for it. Appreciate everybody hanging out today, giving this a watch, giving it a listen, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.